You're watching WNGE TV Channel 2, Nashville.
The Republican Party ends its first day of convention in Detroit. Tonight we'll look at the party as it struggles to define itself for the 1980s. Our guests will be the man who ran with Senator Barry Goldwater in 1964, and we'll be talking with the son and daughter of Ronald Reagan, at least one of whom doesn't see eye to eye with Dad on everything. And on day 254, the condition of the Shah worsens.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from ABC Convention Headquarters in Detroit, Ted Koppel.
The business of this first day of the 32nd GOP convention is now over, but the delegates have not yet gone home because for much of the past hour they've been treated to some high-priced Hollywood entertainment, which is still in progress. But the business part of the convention had all the trappings of a traditional political convention and perhaps a bit more enthusiasm than normal, because Republicans here sense a victory in the fall. Because of this, there is a struggle going on as the party tries to define itself. And they are trying to find an image that will appeal to Democrats and independents without offending the conservatives. The combination that is needed to win the White House. But is the Republican Party changing? That's our focus tonight. And John Martin reports on the Republicans looking at themselves.
Most of what happens here in Detroit this week celebrates the ceremony of convention.
It is my privilege to proclaim the 32nd Republican National Convention in session and call it to order.
But behind the ritual of a national convention, there is a political party trying to define what it stands for.
The Republican Party stands as for it always has. It's in favor of jobs and people. It's in favor of private enterprise and smaller government.
Well, I think in the past it's been perceived as standing for a rather stand-pat conservative party, conservative what we've had in the past. I think it's becoming more and more a party that it stands for change.
But now we seem to be sort of almost populist in some of the approaches. Working people, tax cuts, tax rates, programs to get people back to work again. And it's a good direction to go.
In the 1930s, somehow we got off the track, and there's no doubt about it. At least Franklin Roosevelt presented the Democratic Party as the party of activism in order to energize the public sector of the economy to meet social and economic goals. And I see a realignment coming in the two-party system, not too unlike what happened in 1932, only this time it's the Republican Party who are the activists, and it's the National Democratic Party under President Carter who are passive.
Until recently, Republican economics seem to be afraid of the people. We seem to be saying that in order to stop inflation, a lot of people have to suffer. What we are coming to now is the idea that people are not the problem, people are the solution.
What the Republicans are trying to say is that they don't have to stay this way. We can do better.
That was John Kennedy's phrase in 1960. We can do better. And it is no coincidence that Chairman Bill Brock uses it today, because the Republicans have absorbed the rhetoric of populism, but not its reality.
Will the delegates take their seats?
In drafting its platform here this past week, the new Grand Old Party made it clear in vote after vote that Republicans want government to do less, tax less, and regulate less. The old Democrats wanted government to do more for more people, the poor, the blacks, the blue-collar worker, all targets now of Republican platform promises.
The Republican Party stands for individual enterprise, individual rights, and has always been a leader when it comes to women's rights, was the first party to endorse the ERA, and I'm just outraged and disappointed that it seems we have a platform committee that would speak for a small minority.
Because the platform rejected support for the Equal Rights Amendment, the Republicans could lose votes among women this year, even though they gave Gerald Ford 51% of their votes 4 years ago. Another problem could be voters under 30, who gave 53% of their votes to Jimmy Carter last time.
When I first got involved, I considered it more progressive, and now the Reagan forces have pretty much gained hold of the party.
I have strong feelings for Ronald Reagan, but is this support widespread among blacks?
No, it isn't. No, it is not.
It's at what level does it come, do you see?
Well, it's basically on the middle class level.
And finally, despite the new Republican rhetoric, the problem of attracting blacks. who gave Carter 95% of their votes 4 years ago.
All these obstacles may not matter in the end because the polls are showing a shift of sentiment toward Ronald Reagan and away from President Carter. If they win, and there's great confidence here they can, they'll do it by forging a bizarre political coalition, attracting traditionally moderate and progressive voters who've never before called themselves Republicans by nominating their most conservative candidate since Barry Goldwater. John Martin, ABC News, Detroit.
In a moment, we'll talk with the man who ran with Barry Goldwater in 1964 and the man who ran with Gerald Ford in 1976. And we'll even tell you who they are.
Glide from summer into winter with warm coats and jackets from Sears. Now 25% off all kids' winter outerwear. Girls are all a whirl in a flurry of fashion. Boys cut a dashing figure while chasing chills away. And right now, a deposit puts your layaway purchase on ice until October 1st. Turn to Sears for lots of styles and colors in sizes from infant to teen. Regular prices start July 27th, so don't let this 25% savings slide by.
Imagine the finest white wine you have ever tasted. Now imagine it even better. French Colombard from the wine cellars of Ernest and Giulio Gallo. French Colombard. Bold, assertive, self-assured. Each careful step the winemaker takes creates a memory you can taste in our French Colombard because the wine remembers. French Colombard from the wine cellars of Ernest and Giulio Gallo.
Can you turn the label this way, please? It has only 96 calories.
You do drink light beer from Miller.
You mean, do I really drink it? No, I drink Pabst Extra Light. Oh, well, see, it only has 70 calories, and, I don't know, it's lighter, it's more refreshing, I don't know, it's a really good beer. You should try it. Well, you know, I guess...
Pabst Extra Light, a refreshing change in beer.
Coming up next.
That's him! That's the man that stole the body.
Okay, sit down, will you?
Cool.
Barney Miller, right after ABC News Nightline.
As a nominee for the office of Vice President, you must win to become a household name. Many men have discovered this fact. Victory is the only thing that keeps you on the world stage in the game of politics. For those who don't win, it can be difficult indeed to keep your name in the public eye.
Do you know me? I ran for Vice President of the United States in '64, so I shouldn't have trouble charging a meal, should I? Well, I do. That's why I carry an American Express card. I use it in stores, restaurants, airlines, and hotels all over the world. In Tokyo, Paris, and in upstate New York. Why, with this, they treat me as though I'd won.
With us tonight is that man, William Miller, Barry Goldwater's running mate in 1964. And joining us, Gerald Ford's running mate in 1976, Robert Dole. Senator Dole, I know you can hear me. I just hope that Mr. Miller can hear me also. Can you?
I hear you very well.
Outstanding. I'm reminded of the story of the man who had two brothers. One ran away to sea, one became vice president. Neither was heard from again. You've added new luster to that story, Mr. Miller.
Well, thank you.
Let me ask you, from your vantage point as a one-time running mate to Barry Goldwater, as you look at the Republican Party today, what do you see? Your old party?
Oh, no. I see, I think, a party that has progressed over the past 16 years into a more activist role in government and in people's affairs. Also, of course, you've got to remember that the country today is fundamentally far more conservative than it was 16 years ago. I think that no Republican, I think, could have won in '64. Perhaps others could have done better. We were running against not only Lyndon Johnson, but the memory of Jack Kennedy. The American people were not prepared for 3 presidents in 2 years. The country economically was in fair shape. There was no inflation problem. Lyndon Johnson indicated that he wasn't going to escalate the Vietnam War or send American boys there, although I think he knew better when he said it. But there was no real motivation for the American people to remove Lyndon Johnson, I think, in '64. But today, the picture is totally different, with double-digit inflation and double-digit interest and double-digit unemployment and our foreign policy in a shambles. This administration couldn't have a worse record.
Mr. Miller, I think I'd even go you one better. I think even in the past 4 years that the country has moved so far to the right that our other guest, Gerald Ford's running mate in 1976, Senator Dole, is now perceived as far more liberal senator than you were back then. Back then, you were seen as the conservative. What's happened to the country since then?
Well, I think a lot has happened. I think I may be just as conservative, but I do believe, as Bill Miller has indicated, there's been a movement in this country. Plus, we have a candidate, Governor Reagan, and a lot of Americans have been working for Governor Reagan for 12 years, and they have their candidate now. And I've got to add that we've had a lot of help from Jimmy Carter. We couldn't have done it without him, and he's going to be a big boost to us in the next few months. But it's going to be a tough race. We can win. We have a good platform geared to working men and women, and I really believe, as Bill has indicated, we're on the way to victory.
Senator, don't you believe that that platform is going to be very difficult for a number of Republican candidates to stand upon over the next few months? I mean, some of them are already indicating they're going to run despite the platform, not with it, not on it.
Well, I think that's true in most cases. I think platforms are written with the best of intentions and probably forgotten about the same vein by some people. Others feel very strongly about the platform. I wish all Americans would read our platform. It's a good platform. There are a few things that we disagree on, but I believe if Governor Reagan comes out swinging, as he will, for a Bill of Rights for women in America, the little tussle we've had over the Equal Rights Amendment will soon disappear.
Congressman Miller, let me go back to you for a moment. I remember that convention in San Francisco in 1964, and I've rarely seen a party as bitterly divided within itself. The Rockefeller forces on the one side, the Goldwater forces on the other. What about this unity theme that we see here today? You think it's legitimate?
Oh, I have every reason to believe that it is. I'm sure that it is. And I think that's an excellent thing for a party that is a minority party. At least you have to be united among yourselves in order to stand a chance of victory at all. So that I think that the party is obviously very united. I agree with Senator Dole. I don't think these little divisions over single issues are going to make any paramount difference.
Congressman Miller, I must interrupt at this point. Thank you very much indeed. Senator Dole, thank you. In a moment, we will talk with one of Governor Reagan's daughters who objects to at least one of the changes in the party, and we will also talk to her brother.
You won't find them in a Sealy. You won't find them in a Serta. You won't find them in a Stearns & Foster, but you will find them in a Beauty Rest by Simmons. Hundreds of these exclusive Beauty Rest coils. They're wrapped individually so they're free to move separately to give every part of your body the kind of firm, comfortable support you won't find anywhere but here.
There's just no rest like a Beauty Rest by Simmons.
When I shoot a great champion like Ben Crenshaw, history can happen at any time, and that's why I stay ready all the time with my Canon AE-1. The zoom lens puts me right where the action is. So if Ben gets that one miracle shot, I get it too. Ben, you try the zoom. Sure. Even with the zoom, the Canon AE-1 is as easy as focus and click.
The incomparable Canon AE-1, so advanced, it's simple.
Good morning, sunshine, you're just in time. Our grill is sizzling hot. There's a golden glow of eggs cooking slow. Sausage and hot cakes really hit the spot. Try an Egg McMuffin and taste the sun. Make your day a special one. No one brings sun to your morning like McDonald's can.
A lot of ice creams can tell you they're all natural, even though they put in stabilizers or thickeners like gums and gelatin. At Breyers, we pledge that our ice cream contains none of those things. Breyers uses nothing but ripe fruit, pure sugar, wholesome milk, and thick cream. There just isn't any other ice cream that's more all-natural than Breyers.
For the first time, the Republican Party has pulled back from its traditional endorsement of the Equal Rights Amendment. Under the guidance of the Reagan forces, the Platform Committee did not endorse the passage of that amendment. One of those objecting to that policy is Governor Reagan's daughter, Maureen, who is with us now, along with her elder brother, Michael. Miss Reagan, may I turn to you first and ask you, perhaps in the past when you've objected to your father's policies, it might even have been seen as kind of cute, but now he's running for president. Is he going to be able to stand that kind of division within his own family, and do you still feel it as strongly as you ever did?
Well, yes, I do, and I don't think there's anything cute about it. Our differences of opinion have been over how to implement the subject of women's rights in this country. I believe that we should amend the federal Constitution, and he believes it can be done by statute. I'm more than willing to let him try his way, and I will try my way, and one of us will solve that problem. I'm very disappointed that the platform does not contain an endorsement of the Equal Rights Amendment, but I do find it amusing that we've suddenly been discovered as having been supporting it for 40 years when no one would admit to that a couple of years back. But we have addressed some very serious issues in the platform on the subject of women's rights, including Social Security reform and child care, and we will be addressing the assault issues and things that are very, very important to women and must be addressed immediately with or without an Equal Rights Amendment. And so I'm very proud of the Republican Party for having taken that stand, and I hope it does some good.
Michael Reagan, let me turn to you. Do you think that this platform is going to be an embarrassment to a number of candidates out there? I'm speaking obviously not of your father, but to senatorial, gubernatorial candidates?
I don't believe so, because there are many things in the platform that cover a wide area of what's happening in this country today with jobs and things of that nature throughout this country. And that's one aspect of the platform. And I think if you look at, as Bob Dole said earlier, in its entirety, it's a good platform to run on.
It almost sounds, in some respects, as though you are trying to out-democratize the Democrats.
Oh, I've never really heard that statement before. Remember, I'm all new at this, Ted. I think the Republicans have the pulse of the country and what's going on. And I think they're going to go out there, or we're going to go out there, and we're going to tell the people what we want to do. And I think the people are willing to listen to the Republican Party and listen to my father. And that's why we back him and go on and pull for him, because we really need that type of leadership in this country. So I don't know, it's out-Democrat the Democrats. For so many years, I thought they were taking our issues. I think it's about time that we take our own issues to the public and get elected on them.
Thank you both very much for being with us this evening. We'll have the latest on Iran in a moment.
At Century 21, we're making things happen.
When we outgrew our house, our Century 21 agent found us this home with an assumable mortgage.
We had to sell when Bill was transferred. I was able to show them the benefits of seller financing.
Buying or selling real estate? Call your Century 21 agent today for this booklet, Alternative Financing. At Century 21, we're making things happen.
And we'll give our word to you.
You can bridge the miles between you and your loved ones with professional photographic portraits taken at Sears. Trust Sears Portrait Studio to create the quality portraits you want to save and share. This week, Tuesday through Saturday only, Sears offers a package of 2 8x10, 3 5x7, 15 wallet size, and 3 portrait charms for only $14.95, including 95-cent deposit. Share a memory with a portrait from Sears today.
On day 254 of the Iran crisis, the major development concerns the worsening condition of the former Shah of Iran. Reports from Cairo indicate that a new leg infection has developed, and his doctors report that he has a fever. There are indications as well that a new operation may be necessary, although reports indicate it would be a minor one. In Tehran, an Iranian newspaper is reporting that one of the hostages, Thomas A. Hearn, has admitted to being a CIA agent and has named several prominent Iranians as CIA informers. According to that published report, Ahern told his captors about the CIA's sources of information and their code names. None of the newspaper's allegations could be verified, and predictably, there has been no confirmation from Washington. That's our report for tonight. From the Republican Convention in Detroit, this is Ted Koppel. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
Unemployed auto workers talk about trying to find a job during a recession tomorrow on Good Morning America.
WNGE Channel 2, Nashville.